Hello everyone and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Fix YouTube channel. It's that time of the week and another episode of Eddie versus the Algorithm coming your way, the series here on YouTube where I'm taking on a computer-generated FPL team for each game week of the 23-24 season. And then we see, come game week 38, which team can score the most game weeks on paper, can win the most game weeks in total. So far, I'm doing rather well against the computer, so before we get into having a look at what team is predicted to score the highest points total for game week 10, let's just have a quick recap as to how things went down in game week 9. And the algorithm scored a very, very respectable 90 points, which 90, just 90, I should say, which was largely due to the facts of Ollie Watkins, Mohamed Salah, but also going with the likes of Brian Mbomo, sticking with him, and then Trippier in defence as well. And a double Liverpool clean sheet, Pinnock coming through with 7, the Haaland captaincy didn't pay off, and of course a lot of people ended on similar scores, perhaps not having quite as many haulers in their side, but captaining Mo Salah instead. Haaland didn't blank, I suppose, but 8 points is rather disappointing when you compare it to someone like Salah, who was also relatively highly captained last week. So yeah, 90 points, still a very, very good total for the algorithm last week. The score going into this game week, as you can see at the bottom of your screen, was 6-2, and the score at the end of the game week was as follows. And if you're keeping an eye down there, you'll see that, yeah, it's 7-2 now. I beat the algorithm by 1 point, scoring 91 myself. And it wasn't any thanks to Udogie in defence, who was subbed off prior to the 60-minute mark. But elsewhere in the team, a lot of the players did come through. A lot of similar players, Salah and Mbomo, Watkins, Haaland with the captaincy as well, which is what I also went for. Heung-min Son with his 14 points was really the difference maker here. We both had Turner in goal. My punt in midfield on Gibbs White didn't pay off, but basically everywhere else in the team there was return. So very happy with that. You know, Alvarez up front grabbing 9 as well definitely helped. And yeah, narrow victory, but albeit another victory for me over the algorithm. There's been quite a few of those already so far this season. But let's get into what you're probably here for then, which is the computer-generated team and the highest predicted points total side for Game Week 10. Let's have a look at how the team is shaping up. And once again this week, it is going to be a 3-5-2 formation appearing for one of the sides. The algorithm has actually played a few 4-3-3s and other formations like that we've seen recently, but it's back to the pretty common formation that you're seeing in FPL at the moment, which every team pretty much has. A few more people may be switching to a 3-4-3 or something, with the fact that Watkins, Haaland, and maybe Alvarez is your third striker all look good. Could even have a Darwin Núñez or something like that, but yeah, basically 3-5-2 is what the majority of people are on right now. In goal, though, we've got Alisson Becker, so he's starting for Liverpool, obviously, home to Nottingham Forest, a very nice fixture for them, not the best defence in terms of stats and numbers so far this season, and of course Alisson Becker comes in at a pretty high price point, but it's 4.9 predicted points for him this week. That's what the computer has selected him and predicted him to score for this game week. He is the highest predicted scoring goalkeeper in terms of those projected points, so he makes it into the side alongside another Liverpool defensive asset. Trent Alexander-Arnold is in defence, 5.3 predicted points for him, making them the highest predicted scoring defender for this game week. We've then also got Matty Cash and Luca Dean of Aston Villa, both, of course, with Luton at home, so a very nice set of fixtures for Villa, who have been absolute machines at home at the moment, and you can only imagine that's probably going to continue looking at that fixture on paper. They both look pretty good, and yeah, to be honest, I would, if you're not going with the RB midfield, and you're probably going to want a triple Villa up this week if you're having a free hit, if you were on it anyway, and Dean and Cash, probably not too opposed to having both of those, especially Matty Cash in his side. Hasn't grabbed quite as many returns, which we discussed yesterday when I talked about having Cash in my own personal team. The data doesn't look quite as impressive as it has at points so far this season, but it was never really going to be that sustainable, the amount of attacking goal threat he's had when he's not playing in such advanced positions in some of these games. But yeah, still probably a little bit unlucky to not grab an attacking return in probably the form of the assist over the last couple of game weeks. In midfield, though, we've got Mohamed Salah, of course, makes it into this side. We've then got Jared Bowen, Odegaard, Saka, and Martinelli. And what I think is interesting is that when I saw that captain's armband in midfield, I was for certain sure it would be Mo Salah taking it. But no, actually, as we saw in yesterday's video, Bukayo Saka is predicted a higher point total than Salah this week. Now, personally, I think that Salah is the one to captain, even if you own both. But I could definitely see the appeal of someone like Bukayo Saka at home to Sheffield United. One of the best fixtures you can have. Nottingham Forest are no pushover in terms of size, just how good Liverpool are at home at Anfield. They have fantastic data. The highest scoring team in terms of XG in the recent game weeks and over the entirety of the season so far, in fact. So for that reason, I'd have Salah. There's also the certainty that he'll be on penalties as compared to Saka, who, you never know if it's going to be given to Odegaard on the day or something like that. But yeah, I definitely don't hate the punt on Saka at all, if you can call it that. He's definitely a favourable captaincy option for this game week. We've then got Bowen and then also the other two Arsenal boys. Martinelli, is he going to start this game? You'd probably assume so. Arsenal fans will be able to tell you more than I am, but there has been times where he's not grabbing as many minutes as he could potentially get. Maybe that's reflected in the only 6.2 predicted points he's got this game week compared to both the other Arsenal assets who are projected for over 7.0 apiece. And then Jarrod Bowen, only 5.3 predicted points for him, so relatively low compared to the other men in this midfield. But Everton at home is definitely a nice fixture for the Hammers. They'll be looking to bounce back from their last game out against Aston Villa. And Jarrod Bowen still did manage to score in that one, and I really rate him as an option going forward. I don't know if we actually know who's on penalties for West Ham yet. Pretty sure it's probably not going to be Bowen anyway, or isn't Bowen. In fact, if they have had a spot kick already this season, I can't quite recall who took it, but I'm sure you guys will be able to remind me down below in the comments. And then finally up front, I can already predict who this is going to be. It's going to be, maybe not. Ollie Watkins was the one I was definitely predicting, but then it's Dom Solanke. And actually, if I was able to do maths in my head quick enough, I'd realise that there wasn't enough money in this side to even go for Erling Haaland, and who, of course, does face Manchester United this week. As I'm recording this video, he's just scored a brace in the Champions League. There were some people tweeting some things at half-time that maybe, Haaland's finished. That's what he does. He comes back with a brace. And to be honest, Haaland, there's a week to go against him on a free hit. Probably this week could be one of them. But right now, very happy still with Haaland in my side. Definitely not even ruling him out as a captaincy option for this game week, but the algorithm has chosen to go for Dom Solanke, who did, if I'm not mistaken, grab a return in Game Week 9 as well, a week after I had him in my free hit team in this series. So maybe he'll be able to grab another one. Burnley have looked very poor defensively, and 5.2 projected points is maybe even a little bit low for him, despite Bournemouth not being one of the best attacks in the league. And then we'll finally have a quick look at the bench. So it's Areola down there alongside Hufal, Foster, and then Lascelles. So he might have heard a price rise up to 4.0 by the time you're watching it. But to be honest, I think that Botman will most likely be back in one or if not maybe 2 game weeks time. So Lascelles isn't really going to present too much of an option long term anyway. So pretty irrelevant news there. We'll have a look at my team though and how it compares. And this is my side. I'm predicted 68 points for this game week. I have chosen to go with a few more rogue options maybe, kind of just to spruce up the series and try and make it a little bit more exciting. I've moved the captaincy armband over to Salah, but of course stuck with both him and Saka in midfield as well as Jarrod Bowen. Up front, I've got Watkins, but then I have got Haaland in my own side, and that's kind of where the similarities end other than Matty Cash in the defence. In goal, I've gone with Raya, so I wanted to have kind of Arsenal defensive asset in here, so I think he's played well recently. He's great for bonus points, as we've seen last season, so I'm hoping that, if they do come away with a clean sheet in that one Arsenal, maybe he can somehow sneak his way into there. I've also gone with Trippier, just with how many assists and how great he's looking with his deliveries as of late. He looks like the best defender in the league for attacking returns right now. So even in an away fixture, I think that he could get one against Wolves, another attacking return, that is. And then finally, Simicast, who a lot of people seem to be jumping on the train for at the moment. Robertson out for an extended period, so makes sense to have him in. Was subbed relatively early in the game last time out, but that was for an attacker, so a little bit of an unorthodox change there. Not one you're going to be seeing every week in a like-for-like replacement, because Liverpool don't really have any other notable left-back who they can bring in for Simicast all that much, and definitely probably not before the 60th minute, you'd imagine. So he should be safe for clean sheets if Liverpool are managing to keep them before that point in the game. And then finally, in midfield, I've gone with Diaby to partner him up with Watkins, doubling up on that Villa attack against Luton, I should say. And then Adingra of Brighton. So Solly March out for a while will be good for his expected minutes. I think that he's looked pretty good the few times I have seen him play. But yeah, a little bit of a punt out there. I wanted one of the kind of 5.0 mids or below, and I did some analysis comparing the likes of McTominay as well, maybe even Cole Palmer, and then Thomas Soucek at West Ham, who I think all look like pretty respectable options. Palmer's fixtures was putting me off slightly despite having pretty much the best data, even when you take away the penalties. But Adingra, you know, he could grow into his own. Zerbi's come out and said in his press conference, I think I saw the quote, he's going to be a very important player for them. So yeah, he's my kind of punt of the week. Hopefully it goes better than going for Gibbs White did in game week 9. But yeah, that's going to wrap up Eddie versus the algorithm for this week. Let me know which team you think is going to score more points down below in the comments. And other than that, I wish you a very happy rest of your week and the best of luck for game week 10. Thanks for tuning in, and goodbye.